A Mexican kid just trying to get through school and an alien artificial intelligence needs him to save the world? What was Jaime gonna do? Say no?
You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
Jaime Reyes is the third Blue Beetle in the main continuity of DC Comics, not including alternate Earths or timelines, who first appeared in Infinite Crisis #3 in 2006 and was created by Keith Giffen, John Rogers, and Cully Hamner. Jaime isn't a kid destined to get bitten by a radioactive spider, nor is he destined to become the next big super scientist. He was a normal kid who got good grades and wanted to help his family out by getting a part-time job. He was just that kind of kid. But one day, a battle between Shazam and the Spectre during Infinite Crisis would lead to the destruction of the Rock of Eternity, sending all of its secrets that were safely tucked away to scatter across the world, and Jaime would stumble upon the scarab tossed away in an abandoned lot. Jaime would take it home thinking that it was nothing more than a fancy looking bug, and in the middle of the night, the scarab, for the first time in the scarab's now almost 40-year history, came to life and grafted itself to Jaime's spine, turning him into the new Blue Beetle. Jaime is easily the most different version of the Blue Beetle when compared to previous incarnations, where Blue Beetle Dan Garrett and Ted Kord were more traditional pulp-era style superheroes. All three Blue Beetles had access to Khaji-Da, otherwise known as the Blue Beetle Scarab, an alien artificial intelligence hailing from the Reach, intergalactic beings hell-bent on conquering galaxies across the universe and subjugating its inhabitants, all for the sake of profits. The Scarab gave Dan Garrett superhuman strength and durability, as well as the ability to fly and to project powerful energy blast. But Ted Kord never possessed any of these abilities, nor could he make the Scarab do the same thing for him that it does for Jaime. He relied more on gadgets and technology over alien artifacts. Behind the scenes, this was likely more of a move to make Ted Kord a more Batman-style character than anything else, similar to how DC Comics created the Green Arrow to capitalize on the popularity of Batman. Regardless, Jaime is unique in that not only was he able to command the power of the Scarab and it grant him the same superhuman capabilities that it granted to Dan Garrett and denied Ted Kord, but it also gave him even more raw power than either of them. While possessing the same level of superhuman strength and durability as Dan Garrett, the techno-organic battle armor alone is 20 steps ahead, making him far more durable than Dan Garrett with his less advanced suit that was little more than alien chainmail. This is also due to the symbiotic synaptic interface of the Scarab, with it attaching itself to Jaime's body, forming a neural link. It can respond to his every whim if it chooses. The only downside to this at first was that when the Scarab unleashed or retracted the armor, it was initially painful to Jaime because the armor was hidden within his body. As of late, he doesn't seem to show many signs of discomfort when manifesting or demanifesting the armor, so it's possible he's either become used to the pain or the Scarab has found a way to make it a painless process. Either way, Jaime can summon as little or as much of the armor as needed, making him capable of summoning only the pulse cannons or the blades of the armor without fully sheathing himself in the entirety of the costume. While wearing the Blue Beetle armor, the Scarab protects him from all forms of harm and environmental hazards, allowing him to breathe safely even when surrounded by poisonous gas or in the vacuum of space, and it protects him from radiation poisoning and allows him to survive exiting and re-entering Earth's atmosphere despite the incredibly high temperature of heat that would burn a normal human to ashes. With the Scarab, he has access to a near infinite array of weapons. The Scarab can manifest at will, even on its own, regardless of Jaime's wishes. Jaime's been able to manifest sonic cannons, white noise cannons, flamethrowers, pulse rifles, kryptonite radiation waves, pincer blades that can cut through nearly anything, even the ability to form clothes from the recycled waste and dead skin cells, thanks to the Scarab filtering Jaime's waste, making it so he never has to poop, or pee for that matter. The suit can also translate any language for Jaime and possesses broadband and networking functions that give him access to any form of communications network, the internet, radio waves, even among other alien technological infrastructures. The Scarab is far more powerful than Dan or Ted could ever have imagined it being. It's even able to modify Jaime's armor, changing its shape and features to fit the moment, or giving him access to extra tools to wield when necessary. Anything from a grappling hook to a sword and shield, and even wings, allowing him to fly that also double as effective shields. Flight isn't Jaime's only means of transportation either. He can also teleport, even shift through time to a limited degree. He's been able to dive into the bleed, which is otherwise the space between universes, and travel as far from the Brother Eye satellite hiding in a pocket dimension all the way back to Earth in the blink of an eye. His ability to Quody Finger's time travel is limited to a handful of minutes, and he can only do it a few times before the Scarab is drained of its ability to do so. His most common usage of this ability has been to make himself appear as though he's in 3 or more places at once. And as you'd imagine the Scarab being connected to his body as a symbiotic entity, it would likely not surprise you that the Scarab wants Jaime to live at all cost, so Kaji can heal virtually any damage to Jaime's body to ensure that he survives. Kaji also possesses highly sophisticated scanners that allow the Scarab to warn Jaime of incoming threats, visible or otherwise, even revealing things hidden on an extra-dimensional level, and this same scanning technology helps the armor adapt to the enemies Jaime faces, allowing him to take on virtually any opponent and attack them with a weapon that is more effective against them. Case in point, his armor adapting a kryptonite radiation blast to take down Superman, or anti-magic fields to shut down magic wielders like Zatanna. He can also breach Green Lantern power ring constructs, as well as potentially create weapons powerful enough to shut down the Spectre, a character considered to be one of the strongest beings in all of DC Comics. And while the scanners can assess the weaknesses and strengths of his allies and enemies, it even scans for things that aren't necessarily Jaime's business. He's been able to look at someone and tell that they're pregnant or suffering from a fatal disease. The Scarab is always assessing the people and things around Jaime, whether he wants them to or not, largely as a means of being able to better protect Jaime from any potential danger. And that is truly one of Blue Beetle's only real weaknesses. The Scarab, even now, as of the recording of this video, can still take control of its weapons and armor from Jaime at any point and render him defenseless. This has come up in the past when Jaime encountered Green Lanterns, which the Scarab initially was terribly afraid of and would often force Jaime to run or fly, even teleport away from them. It's also not keen on harming nature or anything connected to the green, the source of mystical energy that flows through all nature and plant life, even characters like Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing. That said, it has no qualms about killing humans, something that Jaime has had to fight against the Scarab doing in the past, and it's also attempted to attack his friends and allies if it perceived them as a threat. Recently, as of Blue Beetle graduation day number 1, it forced him to miss his graduation ceremony and took him into the Earth's orbit to discern a signal it believed was a sign of the Reach's return to Earth, regardless of Jaime's name being called to walk across the stage and take his diploma. The Scarab's only other true weakness is Reach technology and other Scarabs. Their weaponry being comparable to one another means Scarabs are very capable of harming one another, and the Scarab itself isn't immune to being manipulated, as it was shown in The Infected Scarab #1 during the Year of the Villain story arc, where the Batman Who Laughs was able to manipulate Jaime into a more murderous-minded, rampaging version of himself by stabbing him with a specially crafted dagger that he used to infect other heroes in the DC Comics universe. Jaime is a very interesting character with a personality unlike anything we'd seen before in a Blue Beetle. While Ted Kord and Dan Garrett are more traditional superheroes, Jaime was always a fish out of water in the superhero community. He never meant to be a superhero and is little more than a high school kid just trying to make his own way in the DC Comics universe as a Mexican American. He's very similar in personality and attitude to a younger Spider-Man, not just Peter Parker, but even a Miles Morales. He wants to do what's right by others, but he also wants to protect those close to him by keeping his identity a secret. He values human life and wants to be a hero who inspires others, and as far as his allies go, if you've got Jaime on your side, you've got a friend for life who will do anything to protect you and will always stand by your side. Granted, that's a feature of most younger superheroes nowadays, but no less an endearing trait. As for recommended reading, I'm going to recommend you check out Blue Beetle Volume 7, number 1 through 36, which is easily the best Blue Beetle you'll ever get. Here you get the coming-of-age story, the superhero shenanigans, the family matters, the high school drama, as well as it being the source of one of the most popular villains in Young Justice history, the Reach. All of this in one nice, neat little package. The only thing that kept this series from still running today, other than the New 52, was poor sales. Speaking of poor sales and the New 52, Blue Beetle Volume 8, number 1 through 16 is where Jaime got the old DC Comics reboot along with the rest of the DC Comics universe, and here you get more of what you got in his first solo series, but also with leveled up enemies, which leads to Jaime getting a massive buff himself. And while I normally wouldn't personally recommend this, I will recommend Blue Beetle Volume 9, number 1 through 18, if for no other reason than the fact that this is where you will get the most information about the Scarab that Jaime Reyes uses to turn into Blue Beetle. Now, if you want to get more off the beaten path, I would recommend you check out Booster Gold Volume 2, number 5 and 6 to see Jaime team up with the original Blue Beetle Dan Garrett, the second Blue Beetle Ted Kord, and Booster Gold to take down OMAC and Maxwell Lord. I'll also advise that you check out Threshold number 2 and 3, which was a fun little series that got canceled at issue number 8, but these two issues showcase Blue Beetle interacting with deep-cut DC Comics character Lonar, and it also depicts how easily Jaime can lose control of the Scarab when it feels threatened. And last but most certainly not least, I recommend you check out Brave and the Bold Volume 3, number 25, where Blue Beetle teams up with Milestone superhero OG Hardware, much to Hardware's chagrin, but they make it work in ways that only two technologically powered superheroes can do. With the upcoming Blue Beetle movie in 2023, which will see Cobra Kai actor Xolo Maridueña starring as Jaime Reyes, aka the Blue Beetle, I think we're gonna see a lot more Blue Beetle comics. We have already got Graduation Day having come out around the time of the recording of this video, so I think a lot of people are gonna be checking for this character in the future. That said, if any of this made you more interested in the Jaime Reyes version of Blue Beetle, or you were just already a fan of the character, check out the anime and manga series Guyver Bio-Boosted Armor. In some circles, you would probably hear people say that the Jaime Reyes version of Blue Beetle is an unabashed copy of that anime and manga series, where I would prefer to say that Keith Giffen, John Rogers, and Cully Hamner were very likely huge fans of that anime and manga series and poured a lot of those influences into Jaime Reyes. They have the exact same origin, powers, and everything, almost the same level of character progression and story beats, minus Jaime Reyes being in a world of superheroes. But anyways, let me know what you think of the Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes. Have you always known about him, or are you today years old finding out about him? Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.